guys, Ramblin Bob here again. So another power station company thing, I forgot what you even call them, another power station company called ENERGIZER. Now, honey, you know who ENERGIZER is, right?
That's the people with the bunny.
The pink bunny, yep, you're correct. That is 100% right. That's the pink bunny that keeps going like this and this and this with the drum. So they were nice enough to send us a power station for a sponsored review, and I can't wait to see it.
It just keeps going and going and going and going and going.
That's true. Uh-oh, we got some damage.
Whoa.
Good thing that they packed it good. Holy cow, that's a heck of a damage right there,
That's
huh?
a heck of a damage.
Wowie zowie dowie. Okay. Gotta pop this open here.
It's a preview hole, so you know what you're getting. You know?
Yeah, hey, wow, they really poked that good, didn't they?
Yeah.
Holy cat scratch fever. All right. Yeah, luckily it was packaged good enough, but wow, that's crazy. Okay. All right, well, it is open. I did not expect that, huh?
No.
My lithium-ion batteries, babe. I think this is a phosphate battery, but okay. Wow, that poked all the way through the darn box. But it missed the power station. Look at that, guys. Holy, that looks like a bullet hole. Holy cow.
It's a preview hole. You know how they put like preview in packaging and see what you're getting?
Yeah, that's dangerous. I'm surprised it didn't go through the... Wow, is that thing tiny, babe? That's tiny, huh?
You know what that means?
Yeah.
More tiny ones for my collection.
Yeah, Mrs. Rambling Bob, she's been collecting these little power stations.
Oh my gosh, it's so tiny.
It's got a sticky.
It's got a sticky, it's got a sticky, it's got a sticky. Guess what? I don't have no more. A sticky.
All right, so that's done.
Yep.
All right, here's the instructions. So this is basically what it comes with, guys. This is a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a little suitcase, like a lunchbox.
It does.
It's pretty neat. And it's got a little fake ground in there. See it? It doesn't really go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of weird. There's your cigarette lighter there, a fan, little ENERGIZER logo thing, a little light. It's not working. All right, well, maybe you got to turn it on. You probably got to turn it on. Hold the button down. There you go, 34%. I was ready for it not to turn on there for a second. Okay, and then the light works. There. Holy cow, that's bright. Okay. All right, pretty cool. Well, it shipped at 34% battery, guys. This is lithium iron phosphate batteries, and it's tiny, isn't it? You want to pick it up, take a look at it?
Okay. Here we go. One arm. You know what? That's pretty heavy for that size.
That's the phosphate batteries. Yeah, it's 9 pounds, so
yeah.
It just kind of seems heavier. But
I was like, this is gonna be easy. Then I picked it up and I'm like, it's not that easy.
All right, this is stuck in the bottom of the box here. Oh, Kung Fu attack. Okay, there we go. So we got the. I'm gonna assume it's a. Let's see. Yep, this should be a 100 watt to 100 watt USB-C cable.
Yay!
So high-powered cable. This is sure. Go ahead.
Yay.
This is the cigarette lighter to the charger for when you're driving. And then this is the MC4 to barrel. That way when you can put your solar powers to them. And the last one is...
look at how little!
It's a little baby power brick with a little safety thing on there.
Usually when they're big like that, or small like that, they come with like a big brick. And like I feel like that brick is accurate for that size.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, this is 20 volts at 3 amps. So about 60 watt charger. So, that's a cute little thing, huh?
Yeah, I think it's adorable.
All right, well, I guess there's only one thing left to do, guys, and that's for the review part. So if you guys are ready, 1, 2, 3,
let's get ready to ramble!
Okay guys, ready for the review process. Okay, so the little ENERGIZER PPS320, the first thing that people usually want to know when it comes to power station is, hey Rambling Bob, what's the battery capacity? So this is a 320 watt hour battery capacity power station. That's lithium ion lithium iron phosphate. That's LPO4. That's the good one, guys. That's the one you don't really have to worry about too many problems with. Like the lithium ion ones are a little bit volatile sometimes when they get too hot, or they're charged too fast, or have too much energy coming and going from it. As you can see, I dropped it all the way down to 9%, and it shut off on me. I believe that is the safety. The last 10% is kind of to protect the battery cells from going too low. So I have my little kilowatt meter here, and it's not actually a kilowatt meter, but it's basically a copy of one. So what I'll do is let me grab a cable real quick here, and then we can plug this in real time, and you guys can see what kind of battery capacity. Now this has memory in it, so that doesn't delete. So that's nice, because if you run a test and you want to, see what kind of capacity you get on any device or a unit itself, where it takes energy out of a unit, you can use an energy a device like this to regulate that. So if I plug it in, you'll see in real time it's 9%. Hopefully you can see that okay. 9%, and it's charging at about 63 watts. Then if you turn it this way, we'll be able to turn back on the AC. This also has charge through, so that's nice. You can use it while you charge it, so that's nice. Just remember that, so here, notice that this fan kicked back on. See, that's a 200 watt fan, one of my Lascos, and notice that right away it shot up. Now it says 58. So the energy that you saw, the 100 in the whatever it was, 170 or something, that was the energy going out of the machine and not the energy coming in the machine. There's only 1 meter on this thing, so you gotta kind of have to pay attention to that, and pay attention to your battery cell meter over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this bad boy sideways, and now remember, it's a 320 watt hour battery capacity, and the actual true battery capacity after conversion, you get 279 watt hours, which I would round to 280, because it's going to be different. Now I pulled about 200 watts continuously, maybe about 190 to 200. Because the heaters, once they get going, then they settle, but it was pulling like 2 something at the beginning, and then it dropped down to about 190 or something like that. So now we have the battery capacity, I think, and then that ran for 1 hour and 26 minutes. So that's what's nice with a device like this. Also, I noticed that the voltage coming out is 114.7. Now remember, this is true voltage. This is what's coming out of the unit without the draw. And then when you draw, let's see here, let me plug this in real quick and show you the voltage. See if there's a voltage drop. It is pure sine wave, so that's nice. Let me plug this in here. Yeah, pure sine wave on the system. And when you turn on a load that's about 200 watts, you can see that the voltage, see how it dropped really low just for a second and then shot right back to the 114. So other than the initial, power surge, which is normal of anything that you plug in, you're going to have that extra surge of power. It holds its voltage very well. I was happy to see that. 60 hertz, a pure sine wave signal, but it is coming out at, this is a little wiggly because it's here, let me show you this. Yeah. So the reason why it's wiggly, guys, is if you look very close, there's a hole in here that can accommodate either the plug upside down or right side up. But notice there's nothing in there. It's a fake slot, basically, to put the ground in this little slot here, because it's not a grounded machine. This is a very starter system. It's a very small system. It is very fun, though. I thank Energizer for sending me this, because every piece of technology I can get my hands on means that I can learn more as we go, and then what that allows me to do is translate in our little group here in the scriber community, the information out, and that helps other people make a decision whether is this right for you or not. I mean, that's kind of what these reviews are for. Let's see, I'll go through the ports really quick, guys. So you have basically the on-off button is here, and then along with that on-off, you have the same button where you hit it again, and notice that the DC ports turn on, okay? And then if you turn that off, same button. And then if you hold this down, then you can turn off the system. And then this is the AC on and off. And all you have to do is click that. Notice it's on already because we just used it. But all you have to do is click that. It turns off. and notice it goes back to about that 63, 64 watts, guys. So as soon as you turn that off, you can actually see in real time. That's a code telling you it's turning it on. Notice it dropped from 64 or 63 down to 59 or 58. So that tells me that this system is using approximately anywhere between 4 and 5 watts to run that AC inverter in there. So that's actually nice that you can see that in real time, and that way you can get a good idea of how much energy that this inverter is using. It's a 300 watt inverter. Let me turn that back off now. Okay, now as that's charging, you have this is a very interesting port, guys. Well, let's start with this one. This is your input. This is your 5521 barrel input, and that comes with the little charging brick, and that gets you approximately 60 to 65 watts. It's 20 volts at 3 amps, but notice it goes a little bit higher than that. It goes all the way 65. Sometimes the ratings are not 100% perfect, when they make stuff, and we've seen that over and over with electronic products. But this next port is very interesting, guys, very interesting, because I have 11 power stations now, 11 unique individual power stations that I can use at any room in the house, or even at the workshop, at the house, or camping or whatever. This port is only on one other port that I have on a power station, and that was my Mylon 640 watt-hour power station. Now what that port allows you to do, this is, even though it says, see it says input or output PD100. Now that's a very unique port, guys, because a lot of power stations stop putting this on there. And what that allows you to do is, if you have the proper, which they give you, the proper USB-C 100 watt cable. Now these are special cables. You have to have a special cable to draw out 20 volts at 5 amps. It's a special either chip in there or cable configuration inside, but USB-Cs all look the same. So if you were to plug this in here, okay, and you were to turn that on, of course, that means you could pull out up to 100 watts out of this port. But now what's more important than that is, a lot of power stations have out. This also has a very special function where if you plug this into another power station that has an output, give me 1 second, let me grab a power station and show you here. I'm going to grab let's see here, I'm going to grab a Bluetti here and set it right here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this bad boy on, and I'm going to show you how this really is a neat feature. And like I said, they've taken that off a lot of power stations. So notice that this has about 50% power here. You all know the name. This is a Bluetti. This is a very small device, though. I like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to plug this into the USB-C, and this is a 100 watt output, okay? Let's turn the light back on here. And then what we're going to do is the DC is on, and we're going to unplug this. So now the only energy that should come out is from this thing. Now notice that this started popping up, and this started popping up. See, 15, 19, 23, 27, 31. You got to give it time. Energy builds. So you got 53 watts here, 57. I think this will actually go all the way up to 100 watts input. Now the cool thing about this, guys, is right off the bat, here's 94, 98. There's your 100 watts, guys. It's going in at 100 watts. Now, what's cool about this technology, okay, and notice that this is putting out 96 watts according to this meter, and this is bringing in 100 watts according to this meter. So there is a little discrepancy there, but that's okay. It's very close. So even if this was 96, now what this little cable proved is this large cable right here, okay, all this cable that you have to carry with you can be simply replaced by something like this, and getting like a GAN charger. This puts out 100 watts. This is a fantastic. This is gallium nitrate that they use to keep the heat down, and it's a new thing that they started only a few years ago that allows you to get that much power, as in 100 watts out. Like here, let me show you here. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in the wall here. Hopefully, well, let me get this here. You guys know I like my meters. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to unplug. Now we know this comes out at 100 watts. Now what that did is that almost doubled the energy of what's coming out of this large brick, right? Isn't that cool? So that means you can charge it almost 2 times as fast with this little dinky cord and a small GAN charger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in, and hopefully, if I turn this way, you can see that this energy, it looks at the battery first and talks, and then now the energy is going in, as you can see. So that's going at 1721. Now that'll ramp up. But notice that you could carry something small like this to charge your phone or whatever, but you could also charge a small power station. That's why this plug is very, very cool to me. I think that's a very, very helpful feature. Like I said, if you brought this along and you had to carry all of this stuff, right? This is a lot to carry, right? It's a lot of stuff. So you can carry all this in your bag, and you only get about 65 watts max. Guys, where you could carry, as you can see, it's 100, right? And it's bringing out 108. And this is 110 volt. This is going to another power station. So you can see the voltage here. It's coming out 112. And the reason it's more than 110 is because I'm actively charging, and I'm getting about 800 or 900 watts in my main system. This is my Pecron. But notice I'm getting 100 watts, guys. And now what's cool about that is this. If you wrap this up, okay, and you put this in either your, whatever, your purse, your bag, your briefcase, you see how tiny that is, guys? That's a huge difference, right? You don't want to carry this huge, brick. And not to mention, you get twice as much power with this as you do with this. So this feature on this power station, I think, is a very, very strong. Let me turn this off here, guys. Okay, there it goes. Put this away. Thank you for your help, Mr. Bluetti. Okay, so the neat thing is with this input-output USB-C, I think that is a very, very, very valuable feature that's on power stations. And I noticed that that's only on a lot of the older ones. Like, this is an older model now. This is more what I call a beginner model. Like, if you want to start learning about solar and just have something for an emergency, I think something like this is very, very important. So let me go back here. Okay, and then we have the, okay, so you have lithium iron phosphate batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries, and they're rated up to about 2,000 cycles to 80%. 320 watt hour batteries, and then you have a 300 watt pure and sine wave. Sorry. So now you also have, other than this input-output 100 watt power delivery port, which I think is the best feature on this entire thing. I do like the light too. A lot of people don't like the light. You also have a power delivery port that's 60 watts, that's USB-C, which means that you can, now this is only an output one, okay? So when you use that, so you could charge your phone or whatever, but what's neat is you have two of those, so you can have two USBs out if you want. Even though that is in the input section, it does have a little symbol. If you see it, it says in out. So that's pretty cool. I love that feature, guys. I really do. Let's charge this real time again, just so you guys can watch. I think that is arguably the #1 feature on this power station, and you can charge this in about 2.5 hours with this technique, as opposed to the charger that they actually give you in the system that only allows you to get up to 65 watts, 63, 64 average. You also have what I call grandpa ports, or dinosaur ports. These are USB-A 3.0. These are quick charge, so they allow up to about 18 watts each port. When you use them both, though, it caps it. So if you use all these together, it does cap it for safety of the machine. And then you have a barrel, which is 5521 barrel output at 12 volts at 10 amps. You saw the buttons. The screen is very simplistic. When you turn it on, you have a DC button that lights up here and a USB-C here. That means that you're bringing in energy through a USB, and then your AC is here. And that's the code to tell the machine to turn on the AC inverter. So if you turn this off and you turn the DC off, notice that the USB-C is still active, and that means it's bringing in energy 99 watts through the USB-C input port. Now if you were to go in this one, nothing would happen because this is an output port. Okay, so on the side of it now you have one very small little fan. I always like, guys, I always like dual fans, and the reason for that is safety. If this fan were to die, the heat stays in there, right? So I do like having two fans on all my power stations. So now, like I said, this is an older power station. This is not a top of the line one, of course. You do have one in and you do have one out. So you do have your dual fans, but I do like 2 in or 2 out. Being that this has one on each side is okay to me because, like I said, if one were to fail, it would force the air out the other way or it would pull the air in through the other way. This is your light here, which I like a lot. It's very bright. You can see that's a very bright light, guys. Sorry about that. That's level 1, and then that's level 2, and level 2 is actually lower than level 1. And let's see, I don't know if that'll tell you exactly how many watts we're using. A lot of times these lights on these machines, on these power stations, are hardwired to the batteries. Now what that means is, as you see, it's on, but it's telling you it's using no energy. So what that is you have to really keep an eye on this, guys, because this isn't going to tell you how long you could run this power station with this light on. And then of course you have your SOS, and then you have your fast blinking in case you want to have aliens come down. So let's plug back in the charger here. Okay, and then on the other side you have your 2 110 volt outputs at 300 watt max. Now notice guys, if you remember, if we put this kilowatt meter here, now this is a real kilowatt meter. If you put this here, if you guys remember, let me turn this back on here. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so notice that it's coming out, guys, at almost 115 volts. It's a little volatile, but notice it's coming out at 115 volts, guys. Now what's nice about that is it's actually higher than what it's rated. This is rated at 110 volt out at 300 watt max. So that's nice. That's nice that you actually have higher voltage than it says. I'm a big fan of that because the higher you start out, to a limit of course, the higher you start out, the more it can maintain that 110 volt output, and you don't have any headaches when you use or charge or you know, power any equipment. And then notice it went down to 93, back up to 99 or 100. So that means that obviously this used that 5 or 6 watt out to run that inverter, plus a little tiny bit more to run this little screen here. So we have that. Okay, you have lifespan is approximately 10 years under normal conditions. You have 4 ways to charge this, guys. You could go through solar, which is the 5521 barrel, to the MC4 adapters. Now these are very skinny. But as you notice, they're like, if I stand it up here, notice how it doesn't flop over too much. So there's a little bit of you know, wire in there, copper, so that way you know, it's not like a really cheap, but it is kind of flimsy, guys. It's not the highest of quality. However, you're only going to be bringing in about 65 watts through charging, so you don't have to have a very heavy duty cable like that for heat disbursement or safety like that. You can also charge it by your car. So you could plug this in your cigarette lighter, which we could do again if you like. Let's bring back this guy here. We're going to unplug the power. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use the, let's see, we're going to use the old other Blue Eddy here, and we're going to go in through the cigarette lighter. Pretend this is your car now, and then you want to charge this guy. So see, it's re-evaluating its life here and figuring out how much power it's got left. So now if you plug this in, we'll watch it in real time, and then you can see that this is outputting power and that's inputting power. So notice that that's coming out at 41 watts. So notice that you're not going to, oops, that's a AC. Notice that you're not going to get a lot of power in through this, guys. This is more like a supplemental power. So if you're driving somewhere and you want to have a little bit of power coming in, this is a nice thing. It doesn't hurt your car as long as your car is running, because your alternator is giving that energy. But notice that that's only 41 cap off of this machine. This is 120 volt output. I'm sorry, the 120 volt system AC, 12 volt, which is about 13.5 regulated output. So that's what you're getting at 12 volt regulated output, which is about 13.5. It's 41 watts. So what we're going to try right now is we're going to try to dual charge it and see what it does. So remember, this does 100 watts. So we're going to put this in at the same time, and we're going to see, does it shut down? Does it not like that? Or does it actually give you more? We're going to see. We'll give it a second here. Let's make sure. Okay, remember this one takes a minute to go. Okay, so notice that nothing's happening here or here other than a little 0.4. And what that's doing is it's talking to this thing and it's saying, hey, I can only take one input at a time, which means there's only one MPPT controller in here. So if I were to pull out this one, which is the cigarette lighter, now this one should kick on. Now notice that kicked on right away and started going up very slowly, because this is a very intelligent little box here. This regulates. And then notice your power is going up. So you can only have one input at a time on this power station. And for me, for me that's fine, because as I said, this is a starter power station. It doesn't have all the fancy bells and whistles that the big power stations have, but it does its job if you need it. And it's very small, as you can see. Pick it up like this with one hand. It's about 9 pounds. Okay, so you have a reboot function is supported, which means if, and what I did this before, I popped I'll show you again in real time so you can watch it. We'll pop the inverter so you can see what happens. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in this, and I'm going to overpower it on purpose. Give me 1 second, please. I got to get one more little heater here to overpower that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, you know how you always come up with ideas after you set up the camera? Yeah, that. So, okay, so we're going to plug these two in. So these are both plugged in here. Okay, so we have 200-watt heater that trickles down to about 190 or so, and then another one. So we have 2 of them plugged in, which is obviously too much power for this power station to maintain. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use just the power. And even though we're at only 13%, it still puts out full power until it's dead. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these on ahead of time so we can really blast the system heavy, and that way we can see what this thing does when it pops and how easy it is to reset. So if you click the button one time, F60 is the code to turn it on. Notice that these are on now, right? It's pulling 350 watts, 370, 380, which means it's going to pop very soon. There you go, your error 3, which means you overpowered the AC inverter. So that'll beep, and basically notice, now that was cool. Notice that the system reset by itself. However, it did not reset the AC inverter. And that's a safety thing, guys, which means if you walk away and this were to reset, that could possibly potentially start a fire. So the machine is smart enough to know, hey, there was a problem. I want a human being to come and turn this button on again like that and make sure that everything's okay before I do it. That's a liability thing, guys. It's called a human intervention. You have to have a human being hit that button. So that saves the companies from liabilities if anything happens. So now notice it's running fine. But now the neat thing is, did you notice, guys, that it reset all by itself? So that's cool. That way, if you were charging or something, it would go back to doing its charging. It would just turn off this for safety. So yeah, I like that. I think that's a very neat little feature there. Let's let it charge again. And I believe that's pretty much it with this little guy. The handle's very strong, as you can see. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, that's a very sturdy handle. The fan has not kicked on much at all. When I pulled out about 200 plus watts to run the heaters or so, you heard that little fan kicked on. It wasn't that loud. It's noticeable, but not that loud. You do have the cigarette lighter as well. That way you can, plug in your external stuff when you're out and about. I don't use DC very much. People who followed me on this channel now know that I'm not a big fan of DC. However, that's changing, and that's changing because of things like this. The USB-C cable, there's 100 watts almost coming through. Let me turn this AC off. There's 100 watts traveling through this small cable, 20 volts at 5 amps. To me, that's incredible that a small cable like this can put out 100 watts of charging power or distribution power. See, 99 watts. And this huge power brick, right, can only put out 60 to 65. I think the technology that's coming in the future is amazing. I'm glad to even be just a percentage of this technology and have the opportunity to review stuff for you guys like this. Because, deep down, I'll tell you a secret. I review this stuff for me, too. I think of all the people that watch the videos, I watch my own. Because when I go back and watch my own videos, I see mistakes that I've made, and I learn from them myself, or I find new ways to do things because I watch how I've done them before. It's kind of like having a record of learning something. You can go back and figure out, oh, I did that differently, or I did that wrong, and then you can learn from yourself. So what a cool way to educate yourself is, through the channel. Now, at the time, the filming time of this, which is August 16th, the price was $199. It was a promotional from June 12th to July 15th. So that just ended, but they just sent this to me. This was a refurbished model that they sent to me, just for testing to try to, see if I like this or not. So just, for all transparency, this is a refurbished model that was returned for some reason to the company, and then they recertified it and then put it out. And as you can see, it runs fine now. I haven't had any problems with it as of yet. Here's your specs just for the paperwork here. Now this is called PPS320W01, but when you look at it on the internet, sometimes it has the W01 and sometimes it does not. Like Amazon says PPS320, and then the W01 is on some websites and it's not, but I believe it's the same model. You have input is 20 volts at 3 amps. Now remember, that's 20 volt by 3 amps through the brick charger. We're putting in 20 volts by 5 amps through the USB input-output power delivery port. I think that is the coolest feature by far of this little box. I love this feature. And like I said, I only have one other power station, which is a Mylon, or a Million. I don't know how to say it. But that one actually has the same port. And guys, I love that port. Look at how little you have to carry to charge this at 100 watts. Let's see, and then you have the AC output is 110 volts at 300 watt pure sine wave. And now remember, that was coming out at 115 volts. It was actually higher. It's like 114.9 to 115.1. It was actually coming out higher than what it was rated. So I don't know if they updated something in this, or that's just how it comes out. I like that though. I do like that it comes out higher than what it's rated. The DC output is 12 volts at 10 amps total. Okay. Your USB output times 2, which is your small grandpa ones, is wait, let me make sure I did that right here. 5 volts by 3 amps, 9 volts by 2 amps, or 12 volts by 1.5, which is these guys. These are the 12 volts, and then these are the 3, 5, and 9. I'm sorry, 5 and 9. Yeah, 5 and 9 are these, and then this is 12 volt, and then the 60 watts should be 5, 9 volt, and 15 volt at 3 amps respectively. And then you have also the USB output, which is the yep, that's this one here. So that can actually come out at 20 volts at 3 amps, so higher than I thought. Comes out at 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, and 15 volts at 3 amps, which gives you the 60 watt output. And then you have the special. Now this is the special port that I keep going back to, guys. This is the USB-C input output, or the output input. That's 5 volt, 9 volt, 12 volt, 15 volt, and now the new one, 20 volt at 5 amps. That's the newest protocol right now. And then lithium iron phosphate battery at 320. I think this is a very fun little power station, guys. I think if you needed something small, as you can see, I can lift it with one hand. If you needed something small, portable, just for emergencies, this would charge the heck out of your phone. I think 320 watt hours is more than enough to, that's a generous amount of energy to charge your phone, or a small laptop. If you have a small laptop that uses maybe 50 watts, you could power it for 4 or 5 hours. I have very special small laptops that I'm getting into, because I'm looking at longevity of power now. So it doesn't matter how big of your battery bank is on a power station. It's the quality of use of the energy that you use from your power station that shows the longevity of that power, if that makes sense. So if you only have 300 watts and you're pulling out 100 watts in a big fancy laptop, with a video card that's separate and all that stuff, this isn't going to last about a couple hours. Or my best laptop now has an i9 processor. It's a very powerful laptop, and it has 2 video cards that are 1080s. that are separate, that are from NVIDIA, and of course that would pull out about 200 to 300 watts. Now obviously that would you know, destroy this thing in about 1 hour, maybe even less. But if you're using a small laptop, like my best one now, the most efficient laptop I have is an i5. It's a I think it's a 2.4 gigahertz i5. Which is 2 cores and then 2 theoretical cores that are on the top. It's like extra room on top. It's like headroom, and it uses them as extra cores. That one pulls out about 10 watts when I watch a movie on that thing. So that's a perfect laptop, and it's about a 14-inch screen. That is a perfect laptop to watch movies on or browse the internet when you're camping, especially when you have a small power station like this. So, like I said, it's not the amount of power you have, it's the smartness of how you use it, or the intelligentness of how you use it, however you want to phrase that. But, okay guys, well this was the ENERGIZER PPS320, some say W01 model. I think it's a very neat little model, and I thank you, ENERGIZER, for sending me this. I'm humbled that my channel is getting large enough and enough attention that these companies are sending me stuff. This is a fully sponsored view. I paid not a penny for this, no shipping. I don't have to return the item. I get to keep it if I wish. But I'm really thankful to all my scribers out there. Guys, if you're not a scriber yet, hit the scriber button, hit that like button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you want to support the channel, I set up along with my wife, she's helping me with a lot of this technology stuff on her side. There's a Buy Me a Coffee website where what I do is every time I see like promo codes or something that the companies send me, I think I'm linked up to about I think 25 different companies now through affiliate links, and they send me the affiliate codes ahead of time before they're made public, and then at a certain date I'm allowed to release those to the public. So if you want to support the channel, you can go to that. It's also on Facebook. Ramblin Bob Reviews on Facebook, and you can click that link, and that helps support this channel. I really want to do this for like a full-time job. I think this is very fun reviewing these. I go to the Blue Eddy stream 2 or 3 times a week. I really enjoy that, and I really like technology. As you can hear in my voice, this is like a kid in a candy store again. So I'm very thankful, guys, for all of you, the subscriber family, and I'll see you again on Ramblin Bob Reviews. All right, bye guys. Be safe.